regional and global ramifications.
Absolutely. What goes on right now is the whole world is watching. It's this little tiny.
The whole world is watching.
The whole world. The Russians are watching. The Iranians are watching. Chinese, what they call the axis of resistance. The people in countries in Africa, the Far East, where America wants to pivot to. Everybody is looking to see how strong America will stand with its ally, and will it stand up for its interests? Because one day they're going to come for me. Israel is as the old expression, the canary in the coal mine.
Right.
And Israel dies, they know that they're next.
If we learned, something from our history, we know that what starts with the Jews never ends with the Jews, and what starts with the Jewish state doesn't end there. I remember the suicide bombings perpetrated in Israel back in the mid-90s after the signing of the Oslo Accords, again, by the same vile, barbaric organization, Hamas. And a few years later, these very attacks appeared on the global stage in various cities. So if we needed an example or a short history lesson, there it is for us. So what's your take at this point in time, Eric, on U.S.-Israel relations as we, are in the 5th month of the war and moving forward? How do you see those relations at the moment?
Troubled waters. Because the Netanyahu government is in political mode and basically speaking to a domestic audience. I heard this directly from the highest levels in the government, that's where they're prioritizing, and that directly goes against smoothing out relations. The idea that the Prime Minister Netanyahu took on the hard right, Ben Gvir and Smotrich, he has done him no favors, and that is he gets no benefit of the doubt. And that is basically for whether you're talking about occupation, settlements, 2 states, Rafah, the north. All of that has made Israel's situation in helping its relations with the United States, which it needs, made it much, much more difficult. It is up, and this is what I tried last week in speaking to the Knesset, to the International Affairs Committee people, to diplomats, to the Foreign Ministry, to Bibi's #1 advisor, to say you have to change the way you respond. You're in the middle of a war. After the war, you can have these fights, but right now you need to find a way to work together with your only friend. And if munitions start going slow, and Israel cannot fulfill what it needs to do in Rafah, because America is leveraging that power it has, that will be terrible going forward. This is an incredibly fragile moment in the relations, but I have to say it's up to Israel to take the initiative here and reshape it as best as it can.
And from your impression, meeting with those people very close to the decision makers in Israel, doesn't Prime Minister Netanyahu and his cabinet ministers understand those facts? I mean, the Prime Minister has vast experience dealing with the world and specifically with the U.S. What is he missing, Eric?
Okay, so Bibi is brilliant. Bibi is an American-style politician, and Bibi wants to survive. Bibi, at the end of this, somehow believes, even though he was the captain of the ship for October 7th, and usually the captain should go down with the ship, that he somehow, as a cat with 9 lives, has to come out as a winner. And he believes he can, and he is prioritizing that. And to my mind, and this is not about anti-Bibi, but I do believe that a true leader, and Bibi always idolized Winston Churchill. I think Bibi has to look at what Churchill did, and he has to say, not my personal interests. He has to say, what is best for my country? He was always a patriot. He still is a patriot, but he's right now an inflection point. He has to make a decision what is best for my country. And right now, hurting U.S.-Israel relations is a top priority. It's as important as kinetic warfare. And I think he's underestimating that, or his ability as a magician to get out of it. He can't. It is getting worse. He really needs to change at this point of time. And that's what I tried to emphasize to them last week.
You know, one of the main things that Prime Minister Netanyahu has been doing vis-a-vis the Israeli public is talking about the issue that President Biden just referred to as the 2-state solution. And what Netanyahu is telling Israelis is, I'm the only Israeli leader who can withstand international pressure and can say no to the establishment of a Palestinian state. Now, the truth is that the mere mentioning of a two-state solution or a Palestinian state post-October 7th is not to say abomination, but at least an anomaly in the in the ears of so many Israelis who are unwilling to even go in this direction, as in not giving a reward to terrorists. How do you see? What was your impression about that talk about the two-state solution as it reverberated through Israel?
So I think people thought it was ludicrous,
Ludicrous.
pervert, obscene. I mean, it just in at this point of time to bring it up. Having said that, it has been brought up. It's how you handle it. I don't, I have no problem with a vote of not, of the 99 votes out of
Right.
120.
So that's the Knesset voting against international pressure, forcing the establishment of a Palestinian state.
So that was basically a unilateral declaration.
Right,
But
which is rather rare in the Israeli Knesset, but it's also
Right.
very much reflective of where Israelis are, not just Netanyahu.